Without Sight. Connect, collaborate, and create.
Hello, and welcome to the Sound Without Sight podcast. In this episode, James Bowden demonstrates all the basics of Braille music translation using the Sao Mai Braille Converter app, or SMB for short. James shows how you can use SMB to convert MusicXML format scores into BRF files, ready for embossing or reading on a Braille display. You can access the accompanying handout and notes at soundwithoutsight.org. Just search for SMB using the search box on the site. If you're listening to this as an audio-only podcast but would like to see James's screen, a video of this session is also available on the Sound Without Sight YouTube channel. James navigates SMB using his computer keyboard and a screen reader, but sighted users can of course also navigate SMB using a mouse and without using a screen reader. This session was recorded live as part of the Sound Without Sight monthly meetup session for November 2024, featuring questions submitted by our community. We hope you enjoy.
So, we are going to look today at producing Braille music from MusicXML. So, if you remember last time, we used MuseScore and we were writing pieces in the program to produce print music. And I think I hinted that you could export from MuseScore to MusicXML, which is a common file format. And then you could import that XML into a program such as SMB to produce Braille. So, first question, what is SMB? SMB is the Sao Mai Braille Converter from the Sao Mai Center for the Blind in Vietnam. It is a Braille translation program which can handle text, mathematics, diagrams of tactile images, and music. Now, I'm only going to concentrate on the music in this session, so please forgive me if you wanted to know about the other things. That would be another session entirely. There are, in fact, two versions of the Sao Mai Converter. One is online, and that has the advantage that you don't need to install anything, and you can run it on most platforms where you have a web browser, and you can upload and download stuff. And there's a Windows app version, and I shall be using the Windows app version. The Windows version, obviously, you have to install it, and it also gives you access to all the features, not just the music features. The online one is only music. So, next question, where'd you get it? The Sao Mai website. I am going to spell this. It is in the handout as well, so don't worry if you don't catch it the first time. Grab the handout, and all the web addresses are in that. So Sao Mai is spelt SAO, Sierra Alpha Oscar, MAI, Mike Alpha India, Center spelt Charlie Echo November Tango Echo Romeo, the American way, .org, then / EN for English, / SM, Sierra Mike, soft for software, / SMB. That's a bit of a long URL, but it's in the handout, and I'm sure you'll find it with a search in your favorite web browser as well. Not a problem. You go to that page, and there's a little form to download it. Just complete your details and choose whether you want a full Windows install program, a setup program where you click buttons and so on, or if you want a zip file containing the files for a manual install. Totally up to you whether you want to do that. And then you download it and you follow the instructions either in the setup file or you follow the instructions in the README file in the zip for a manual install. Okay, so I will not actually go through the installation process here. It's fairly straightforward, and I hope you have no problems installing it. Of course, as with other software, if you do install stuff on Windows, you may need admin privileges. So let's have a look at SMB itself. I'm just going to run it from the desktop icon.
SMB.
I'm using for my screen reader in this demonstration JAWS, and I've chosen the Daniel vocalizer voice just for something different. I hope it's understandable. If it's not, somebody tell Jane, I'll get the message, I can change it.
Enter. Sao Mai Braille. Sao Mai Braille.
Just a
Okay.
quick question, James. So
Yes.
when you were demonstrating MuseScore, you were using NVDA. Does NVDA still work with SMB, or would you recommend using JAWS?
It should work with most screen readers, yes. Now, I've already installed this, but the first time you normally run this, you will get a message asking, do you want to install an NVDA add-on or a JAWS script? They just help with the reading of the text areas for Braille and so on. Yes, you can use it with NVDA. I'm using JAWS today. The other thing I should mention on the accessibility front is there is a Windows setting called scaling. And that really does need to be at 100% for the menus of SMB to read properly. So scaling, set it to 100%. To do that, you can press the Windows key, type in scaling in the search box, and it'll take you straight to the Windows setting for that. As with other programs as well, screen readers work best with clear type turned off, but those are usual screen reader considerations. All right, so SMB, the main screen consists, as usual, of menu bars at the top and a big blank area where your document appears. I'm just going to concentrate on music, and we'll do the basic process, if you like, how to import, translate, and read a document in Braille Music. And it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. First is a new file, which you can get on the File menu. I'm going to press the Control-N shortcut, just as you would normally do in a word processor.
Control-N. Document 1.smd-print-Sao Mai Braille. Document 1.
There you go. I have a flashing cursor on my Braille display, and I'm presuming that's on the screen as well. The second thing to do is you insert your music, which is the import. So it's in the insert menu.
Alt-I. Insert menu.
And it's the last command in that menu.
MusicScore ... Alt plus F11. M.
And again, there's a shortcut key, Alt plus F11.
Enter. Leaving menus. File name.
That gives you a nice standard file open dialog. And I'm going to go for a very straightforward
B.A.
piece of Bach.
B.S. Bach underline minuet under.
Bach minuet in G, Anhang 114, etc., etc. .musicXML. Let's go for that.
Enter. Document 1.
Now, I guess I ought to play this file, which I can't actually play music in SMB. So let's load it into MuseScore just to show you what we're starting with.
Screen sharing meeting controls. Document.
Desktop.
Windows D.
There
Folder
we
view list.
go.
MU. MuseScore.
MuseScore. There we go.
Enter. MuseScore Studio.
There we go. And open in the usual way, Control-O.
Control-O. File name.
Standard file dialog box. This is just to prove what we're going to be playing with.
Bach underline minuet under.
There it is.
Enter. MuseScore.
And hopefully I shall be able to.
Bach N. Score Bach underline. Score Bach.
And play.
Space. Space.
Okay, that's enough. Everybody knows that piece who's ever done grade 1 piano. Believe it or not, I didn't have to learn it myself.
Document 1.smd.
So,
document 1.
We know what the tune is going to be like. I've imported that into Sao Mai. I'm pressing Control-T, which is also on the Tools menu. Control-T is the shortcut key for translate.
Control-T. 0%. Document 1. The document is ready to view.
And it's as quick as that. Go to the beginning of the file and let's have a quick read. So on the screen, I believe are Braille dots. I can't read them, but on my Braille display, I can read them. The speech will probably say some random things because it's reading the US ASCII Braille characters, which is the way I've got SMB configured. We have a print page 1 indicator, .5.25, followed by the numeral 1.
M.
Minuet in G major is on the next line. Blank.
No.
Notebooks for Anna Magdalena.
Stop.
Bach, BWV, Anhang 114.
Blank.
This is all information which SMB has extracted from that MusicXML file. I haven't added anything. I just imported it straight.
Cost.
And then we have Christian Petzold.
Blank.
Public domain, piano XML, typeset in
Blank.
brackets.
Blank.
And finally, the word piano comes up. Allegro, 1 sharp, 3/4 time. And I'm now getting into the music. For those who may not be familiar, I have chosen bar over bar format, which is the format for most keyboard music in English-speaking countries, including the UK, where I'm based. Down the left, you have the bar numbers in the margin, and then a little bit further to the right, we have the right-hand sign, and directly below that, the left-hand sign, and then lines of music go off to the right. So bar 1, right-hand sign, MF, 5th octave, D crotchet or quarter note, open bracket slur, 4th octave, G quaver or 8th note, A, B, C, all 8th notes. A new bar, D crotchet, end of the slur, staccato, 4th octave, G crotchet or quarter note. And then the end of the line is a lower G, which in Braille music means repeat. So that would be the staccato 4th octave G gets repeated. So that's the first 2 bars.
So just to point out while you're there, James,
Yeah.
Sarah Morley Wilkins had pointed out in the chat, so for any sighted viewers watching on, so just below the screen that's showing all the Braille characters, for the line that you've currently got your cursor on, it's also showing the alphanumeric versions of those Braille characters, just for anyone that's interested.
That's the back translation bar, yes. So I have no idea if that says anything sensible when you're reading music, but when I was reading text, it probably said something quite sensible, and you could read it in print. So the left hand, I have the left-hand sign, a little gap under the MF, so the notes are aligned, a 3rd octave, G, minim or half note, at the 3rd and the 5th. That is a G major chord, GBD. In Braille music, we use things called interval signs to show chords, effectively. Then an A crotchet quarter note, bit of a gap, so we line up bar 2. It's a B dotted minim or dotted half note for the 2nd bar. Okay, I could carry on reading that, but let's just point out a couple of interesting features. We've seen the slurs, we've seen the staccatos. If I go down,
page 2,
down to
AG,
bar
AG, A.
15, that'll do. 16, we have an end of repeat mark for the first section at the end of bar 16. Bar 17 has the open repeat and a forte mark. And effectively, all the music that's there in the original MusicXML file has been represented here in Braille as well. Now then, what can I do with this? I'm reading it live on a Braille display, connected to a computer. What happens if I want to just take the Braille display away with the music on it? Well, I can either save this file as a BRF or Braille Ready format file. Of course, the usual way to save things is the save as command, just like in a word processor. So
Alt F.
File menu, down to save as ... That opens
Enter. Leaving menus.
a standard file save as dialog. Give it a file name. I'm going to type Bach Minuet.
M-I-N-U-T-E-T-U-E-T.
One day I'll learn how to spell.
T-E-E-T.
There we go. File
Save as
type,
type,
and I choose.
Sao Mai Braille ready documents left parent.
There we go. Braille ready documents star.brf.
File name : edit combo.
and then just save in the normal way by pressing enter or the save button.
Enter. Document 1.sm1.
Now I could now go and copy that file to my Braille display, take the Braille display to a piano and start learning it. Or if I had a connected embosser, I haven't actually got a connected embosser, and you probably wouldn't thank me for the noise on the recording. You can do
Alt
file,
F3,
and
1,
somewhere there's print.
Print ... Control plus P.
And that would let me send it to my embosser. I'm not going to go there, but I know it does work because I have tried it. Okay, that is our simple piece of piano music. I'm not going to do too much more with that one, but we will come back to it in a while. Let us look at a more complicated piece of piano music, just to show that we can. I'm going to close this window with Control F4.
Close. Document 1.smd-print.
We're back to the print window with this music object.
Page 1. Bach underline minuet.
Okay, it's just a piece of music. It's just an object which I can cursor onto. It's not translated. I'm going to delete that because we're finished with that minuet for now.
Delete Bach.
And instead, let us load some Chopin. Now, I have only actually downloaded this from musescore.com a few minutes ago, and I have not actually tested to see what happens. So this is a real experiment live. So Alt F11.
Alt F11. File name.
File name, if I remember, was
AOP. Chopin underline 2 underline.
Yes, it was the Chopin Etude Revolutionary. If I could play this, I probably wouldn't be working where I am.
Enter. Document
There
1.
we go. And let's hit translate. Oh, yes, we should listen to it just in case anybody needs to know what it sounds like.
Bach underline screenshot. Bach
So
underline.
there's Muse Score. I'm going to close the Bach.
Control W. Muse Score warning dialog.
And it's asking me, do I want to save any changes? I don't think I made any changes, so I'm just going to say don't save.
Space.
And hopefully we'll do an open.
Control O.
And
Open
we'll
dialog.
open the Chopin.
Chopin underline.
And there's XML. I could have opened the musical file.
Enter.
But,
Muse Score.
and let's try playing this.
N.
This might be familiar, but please forgive the synthetic rendition.
Space. Space.
Okay, that's enough of that. But you might remember how it goes after that. It's pretty fierce, it's pretty wild, and you may have noticed some accented notes in the left hand on those runs down. Now, I haven't actually examined the score to see if they're there, but we'll soon find out when we translate it. Just to make a point, I've only got MuseScore open so we can listen to these pieces. You do not need MuseScore open at the same time as SMB unless you want to edit the original music or listen to the original music. You can just run SMB to translate.
Document 1.sm.
So that it is there, the Chopin, I've imported it. All I have to do is press Control T to
Control
translate.
T. Document 1-1.sm. 0%. 31%.
It's taking a little longer.
The document is ready.
There we go, it's done. Etude in C minor.
Page 1.
Revolutionary in quotes.
Comma.
Opus 10, number 12.
F.
Frédéric Francois Chopin. That's interesting. This one doesn't have the accented letters. Another piece I tried did have the accented letters, and they all came out beautifully in Braille. And this is interesting. It says \x C0D4 \x C30A2, and so on and so forth. They look like Chinese characters to me. I do not know what they are, but they will be somewhere in the XML. Of course, I can just delete them if I want to. I don't need all this stuff, so I'm going to, just for fun, select,
delete
hit
space.
the delete, and they're gone. So this program you can edit as well. Okay. Allegro con fuoco.
Question mark.
Sure, there should be an O in there as well, but I'm not going to do that. Crotchet equals 160 metronome mark, 3 flats, and common time.
A great.
Bar 1. Ah, here we go. This has got parts A and B. this, I told you it was a genuine experiment. So I have not got right hand and left hand signs here. I've got A and B. Now I could fix that in a number of ways, but it just goes to show when you download stuff from any website, it's always a good idea to check it's accurate before you translate. I did not do that, and I'm now paying the consequence. Anyway, I still have an forte, an accent, natural, B with a third, fourth, and sixth, and an octave. That's a big old chord, that. G7 by the looks of it.
Capu.
And then a minim
Great.
rest. And the left hand, part B, it's got all sorts of interesting things, including right hand signs and interesting note stems and note head signs, which don't look like a great idea, but it's obviously picking this up from the XML. As I said, we did not try it out. And looks like there's some editing that needs to be done here. Definitely some editing to be done. The point is, the program coped with even what I would call not good engraving, and it has done the right thing in trying to get it in Braille. There's a bracket above the stave here, and left hand and right hand signs and semiquavers dotted with invisible demi-semiquaver rests and all sorts of things going on. So it's there. Is it a good translation? It's certainly not an ideal translation, at which point I would probably see if I could find another version online.
So James, maybe that's a good time just to ask a question we had from Matthew Horspool. If you went back into a MusicXML file and made some changes, would you have to re-import it, or would SMB update according to the new file?
It's a really good question, and I did try this, and you do need to re-import. It's a fairly straightforward import process, so hopefully it's not too arduous.
Matthew, feel free to jump in.
I guess the health warning with that would be if you'd done any editing, like you deleted a bunch of stuff, if you'd done any editing and then re-imported it, then all of that editing work that you'd done would also be lost.
Yes, you need to do that again as well. So you need to make your decision. Where are you editing? Are you going to edit at the MusicXML stage before you import it? Or are you going to edit your Braille afterwards, after you've imported? And really, there's quite a strong analogy here to the way you might work with, say, a Word document, translating that to Braille, and you need to make some edits. Do you edit the Word document, or do you edit, for example, the Braille after you've translated? Very similar analogy.
Yeah. James, what shows up in the print version? Because that I think is where the difference is. If I was to load a Word document into Sao Mai, then in the print of Sao Mai, I would get text, presumably, and in the Braille,
yes.
I would get Braille. What happens before I hit Control-T in Sao Mai? What does it show in the print? Does it just show MusicXML object or something?
Yes, because I used the insert menu, it's just an embedded object. So let's close that and I'll show you again.
Confirm.
I don't want to, it's asking me,
document.
do I want to do it because I made some editing? And I said no. Back on the print window, if you like.
Blank. Chopin underline 2 underline op dot 10 underline no dot 12 underline and underline C underline minor underline revolutionary dot MusicXML.
Okay, so basically you read the file name at me when I landed on that music.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's why I thought that perhaps it might
Have
update
a
in
link.
real time, because it's just a link to a file. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but you do have to re-import. It's obviously got the data. Okay, that is piano music. I could show you single line music. I could show you orchestral music, and perhaps we'll do some of that later on. But perhaps the first thing really now is to work out about options and customizing the output and so on and so forth. So let's have a quick look at some, by no means all, of the options in this here program. So all the options are in the Tools menu under Options. So I'm typing Alt-L.
Alt-L. Tools.
And Options.
Options dot dot dot. Enter. Leaving menus.
The Options dialog has many pages. It's like a tree, I'm guessing on the left, and you can open each branch as needed. It's a fairly common layout. So the first tab, if you like, is General. And I'm not really going to go through all of this, but the important one is if you want to change the language of the SMB program, here's the place to do it. So it has various different user interface translations. By default, there's English and Vietnamese, but there's a whole bunch of others that you can choose from. If you find one that's incomplete or not accurate, get in touch with the Sao Mai developers and they'll be more than happy to incorporate any amendments. The next page, I'm just arrowing down.
0, Embosser. 2.
0 is the level, it's the top level. Embosser. This is important even if you do not have an embosser connected. This is where you set the page size for your Braille. And the two most important edit fields in this tab, you can just tab round to them.
Profile name, embosser model, driver name, paper size combo box, Braille display left, CPL edit, 30.
Aha, CPL stands for characters per line, and I've currently got it set to 30. That's probably because I was using A4 paper the last time I did some transcription. Let's change that to 40 so I can use the full width of my Braille display.
40.
And
LPP edit.
LPP is 28 lines per page. And change that to 27.
To 7.
Now, if you have got an embosser, it's also important that you set the correct embosser model and the correct printer driver. I have an index embosser, so I've got it set to index and I've got it set to the index printer driver. You've also got settings for margins.
Set left margin edit, top margin edit, print both sides.
And I haven't really changed those. They're still set on 0. That's mainly because I use this for preparing Braille for other people and they can emboss it. So I just saved the BRF file.
Graphic.distance, new profile button, OK button.
Okay, graphic.distance, that's for the tactile images. And you get round to the OK button. Now I'm going to say OK before I lose that setting if we start playing with some other things.
Enter. Document 1.
We're back to document 1. Let's go back into settings.
Alt L, O.
Sorry, options.
Leaving menus. Options. Preview.
And down.
Embosser.
The third one is
translation tables.
Translation tables. This one again is very important for setting the language table for any text that you translate, including text in the music. For example, at the top we had the Chopin Etude, and it was actually written in grade 2 or contracted UEB. The next demonstration I want to give is some vocal music, and it's in German. So I'm going to change this is again a little bit experimental because I haven't really worked on this very much.
Default Braille table code.
The default Braille table, it currently says, and it's giving me the actual Braille table name as well, EN-UEB-G2. Well, those of us who know what that means, English, Unified English Braille, contracted or grade 2. To change it, you'd press the Browse button.
Browse dot dot dot
I'm
button.
just using Tab to get to these controls.
Space. Options. Select a track.
And I'm going to type
Acadian.
It's a G. Hopefully German's come up. There's Georgian.
German.
So arrow down to German. Tab once more.
Grade combo box. Grade 0 uncontracted.
Grade 0.
Grade 1 contracted. Grade 2 contracted. 3 of 6.
Let's do grade 0 uncontracted. That'll probably do because I didn't really want the German contractions at this stage.
Dart / tables / D-G. OK button.
And there's the table name and the OK button. Press the OK button.
Space. Document 1.smd - print.
Now then, also
Translation.
in this dialogue, very important,
Table.
we have
Beginning symbol edit. Blank. Endings. Color combo. Braille output combo box. ASCII.
Braille output, and forgive Daniel for not saying the word ASCII properly. You can choose between having a Unicode Braille output file or an ASCII output file. I don't want to get into too much detail, but in the English-speaking world, we use ASCII, and the next tab,
SI encoding combo box, North American.
ASCII encoding North American. So I don't really want to get into too much detail about what you should set that to in different countries, but in English-speaking countries, it is ASCII and North American.
Save BRF/BRL/Braille's combo box, SI.
And save it as ASCII.
OK button.
There's the OK button, so I'm round again.
Cancel button. Preview. Translation text.
Let's move around. What other options have we got in this dialog?
Tactile graphic.
Tactile graphic, we don't need to look in there because it's nothing to do with music.
Math equation closed.
Math equations, again, nothing to do with music. Let's continue.
Styles closed.
Styles. Yeah, we've heard of styles before somewhere when we're translating Word documents, haven't we? Same idea in Sao Mai, but again, I'm going to skip over it for now because it's not much to do with music. The next one, though.
Music Braille closed.
Music Braille closed. That means there are lots of subpages under here. Arrow right to open them.
Music Braille opened.
And we have several subpages. I'm only going to pick on a few of the options here. Otherwise, we could be here for a very, very long time.
1. Profiles. 2 of 7.
Profiles we'll come back to.
Format.
Format is the next one. And here you can choose between some of the main formatting layout options available in Braille music. Different countries have different ways to lay things out. And it's important that you get the right one. Otherwise, your Braille music might not be in a format or layout that the person reading it will be able to use very well.
Format type combo box, bar dash over dash bar.
So bar dash over dash bar or bar over bar is what we were using for English-speaking countries. The choices I have, bar over bar.
Line dash over dash line. 2
Line
of 3.
over line.
Section dash by dash section.
And section by section is used in several European countries. So I'm going to go back to bar over bar.
Home, bar dash over dash bar.
And move on.
First dash measure alignment combo box, from note.
First measure alignment from note. Do you remember when we looked at the bar at the beginning? I said there was a gap in the left hand and the note G aligned perfectly well with the note above it. That's what this option does.
Rule over line indented measure numbering combo box, auto.
Measure numbering. You can have auto, which is normally where I set this.
Auto with num sign.
You can add a number sign before it.
As print. 4 of 5.
You have it as the print.
As print.
You have it as the print with a number sign. There's often precious little difference between the auto and as print, but just be aware there might occasionally be some difference. Or
home, none. 1 of.
You can turn them off entirely, which is what I'm going to do for this piece of vocal music. I don't actually want bar numbers.
Transcription mode combo box, single part.
Transcription mode, single part. The choices are single part, which will give you each individual part, all the bars, and then the next part, all the bars, and then the next part, all the bars. This is useful if you are going to give individual parts to individual players. So here's your part, you vocal soloist. Here's your part, piano accompanist, for example.
Orchestra.
Orchestra would have all the parts together as an entire score.
Chamber. Solo with accompaniment.
And solo with accompaniment would be the accompaniment with an outline of the melody. I'm going to keep it on single part.
Home. Auto. Single part.
There's auto as well, which tries to detect what you might want based on the parts in the piece.
Place title page a combo box.
We've got all sorts of other options. I'm thinking I'm probably going to skip most of the other ones.
Write additional lyric. Write chords. Write figured bit. Always mark. Restate. State. Insert each part on new. Restate key signature checkbox. State. Insert each part on new page. Each score on new page. Keep parallel together. Show line number. Show page number at.
Now show line number. I'm going to turn that one off because I'm not really interested in the print
space. Not
original lines of the stave. Sometimes you are if you need to refer back to the print. But in this case, I'm not bothered. I don't want to see where the print changes to a different stave.
Show page number at combo box.
We've got options for where we show print page numbers. Let's turn that off as well.
Home. Off. 1 of 5.
Okay, I don't want to know where the print page numbers are.
Page turn at the end checkbox checked.
Page turn at the end? No, not bothered about that either. Turn
Space.
that off.
Not checked. Start page numbering from edit. 1. Break to new section list view.
Now, there's a whole set of options which I'm not going to go through about where you break to a new section in the Braille. And there's all sorts of options. Again, I'm not going to go through them, but they are there just to be aware of. One of them is, for example, do you break to a new section when the print starts a new line? Again, I don't really want to do that, so that's probably should be turned off.
OK button.
There's OK. Do I go any further with these options? Yes, I will.
Cancel.
The next
Preview.
page is possibly the most complicated page.
Transcription.
Transcription. This has all sorts of interesting options, including
Show/hide.
first of all, a list of show/hide. And at the moment, most things are turned on. So if, for example, we wanted to give just the notes to a beginner music reader, I could turn off articulations, I could turn off dynamics, I could turn off staccatos and all the rest of it, and just have a plain, basic Braille music copy with just notes. Really useful if there's too much stuff in the original print. We have options for handling slurs. We have options for handling repeats in Braille. There's various different ways to show repeats in Braille, as well as the print repeat marks. And you can turn those on, off, etc. And there's another thing in Braille music called doubling. So if, for example, I had a whole string of staccato notes, what you would do, rather than saying staccato G, staccato A, staccato B, staccato C, you wouldn't actually do that in Braille. You would write 2 staccato signs at the beginning, and then 1 staccato just before the last note, and then all the notes in between those 2 are just acknowledged to be staccato, and you've saved yourself a little bit of paper. So you can turn all these options on and off, and there's a whole bunch more as well. There are options
Preview. Transcription.
in
Instruments
for certain specific settings for instruments, for example, PIMA, P-I-M-A, notation for plucked string instruments and so on.
Text
directions. This is a whole set of stuff about how to handle various expressions that you might see in music, like RAL A dim, for example, get slower and quieter.
Sign/lines order.
And you can even configure the order of the Braille music signs and the order of the Braille music lines, where the lyrics go above or below the music, whether you have chords above or below the music, and so on and so forth. I'm not even going to go into all these options, but just to let you know, they are there, and you can configure this program to suit your needs.
Navigation mode.
Navigation mode. Hopefully, we might have time to come back to that later on. So I'm going to OK this dialog.
OK button.
And
Space. Document.
Let's see if we can
blank.
load.
Chopin under.
Get rid of the Chopin. Load a famous piece of Brahms. Now, this time I'm going to try and do it the right order and actually play it in MuseScore first, and then we will look at it in SMB.
Chopin underliner.
So let's close the Chopin in MuseScore.
Control W. MuseScore Studio. MuseScore Studio. Cancel button. Don't save button.
Don't save.
Score.
And open.
Control O. File name : BRAH. Brahms underline Johann.
Yeah, Brahms Johann. There it is. Let's see if this works.
Enter. MuseScore.
It's one of the German Lieder, and hopefully, if I can play it.
Space. Space.
Okay, no prizes for the performance there, but you hopefully got the idea what this piece is about.
Task switching. Document 1.smd.
Document 1 SMB. Import with Shift F11.
Alt F11. File name BRAM.
Brahms.
Brahms underline Johannes underline.
And
Enter. Document 1.
hopefully, when I translate, because I've now changed the options, It's a very important point to remember. If you change options, just like Matthew was asking earlier, if you change your music, you need to re-import the music if you change the music, and you need to retranslate the music if you change the options. So if you change the options, your music is not automatically retranslated. That's because you may have done some editing, and it would make a, well, what do you change, what you don't change if you started editing things. So you change the options, remember to retranslate. Here goes.
Control T. 0%. Document 1-2.smb braille-Sao Mai Braille 50-100. The document is ready to view.
Okay. Now, I didn't actually choose not to include the piano, so it's actually got the piano and the voice, hopefully. Okay. Opus 49 5 Lieder, and it's got a German umlaut sign in there.
Blank.
Opus 49, number 4. Wiegenlied.
Blank.
Hope I said that right. Johannes Brahms.
Blank. Transcribe.http blank.
Transcribed, etc., etc., etc. Traditional from Des Knaben. This is interesting because it's got English text, but that's just written uncontracted because that's what I chose. So it's actually okay that it's multilingual. Wunderhorn and Georg Scherer,
blank,
etc. Here we go. Open score CC0
blank
in brackets. I'm still reading through the preliminary text.
Blank.
So let's see if we can find Singstimme voice. That sounds good. 3 flats, 3 4, and it says Guten Abend, comma, Gut Nacht, comma, mit, and on the next line down, indented 2 spaces, a word expression, zart begeht. My apologies for German accent. 2 bars rest, 2 crotchets, 4th octave, G quaver, 8th notes, dotted quarter note or crotchet, B, etc. And the music is there underneath the lyrics. Yes, English Daniel reading German is certainly interesting. I could carry on reading. The interesting thing about vocal music is we tend, certainly in the UK, I think in other countries as well, to try and break at lyrical lines. Now, a computer program does not necessarily know where those lyrical lines are, so quite often you will need to do some post-editing to get the best out of a vocal score. But as a rough and ready copy, this is looking very nice. I have music, I have words, all the notes seem there, all the words seem there, etc., etc. Okay. Now then, we talked a little earlier about profiles, and I said I'd come back to it. And I said earlier as well that you could turn off all the extra signs and so on and so forth for somebody just learning music. So I want to go back to the Bach and show you just how easy it can be to turn all this off and get a basic copy. So let's close the Brahms. Alt F4, sorry, Control F4. Alt F4 would close the entire program. Control F4 closes the one window.
Confirmed.
Confirm.
No button. Alt
no, I don't want to save it.
Document.
Delete the Brahms.
Brahms underline J.
And re-import the Bach. Alt F11.
Alt F11. C.
Bach underline. There
Enter.
it is.
Document 1.
Now, I haven't actually done much except turn bar numbers off. We better reinstate those, I suppose. But
Alt L O.
Options.
Leaving menus.
Let's go to
Options.
Profiles.
P.
And it's under music. That's why P didn't work. MU for music.
Music break.
Open up music with an arrow right.
1. Profile.
Profiles. Tab.
List view. Chamber. Bar.
And I have a whole bunch of profiles which I could choose from. And if that isn't enough, there's an Add Profiles button, and that can add a whole bunch more. Now, I have made a profile already, and I called it
MY.
My Standard Settings I use, which is a quick way to reset things to how I basically work in most of the music that I do. So let's first of all load that profile.
Use the load profile button. Also activated my standard profile.
And that's just activated that. And then OK.
Update, add, remove, descript, OK button, space, document1.smd.
And if I translate.
Control T. 0%. The document is ready.
There it is. And hopefully it's exactly the same as what we saw earlier. So remember, we have an MF, mezzo forte. We have the bracket slur around a whole bunch of notes. We have a staccato, and we have a repeat sign, all in the first 2 bars. And because I've changed the width of the paper, I've now got 3 bars onto that first parallel. Now, let's assume my student hasn't learned staccato, hasn't learnt the repeat, doesn't know how to do MF, etc. I can go into the options. Remember, you have to retranslate. So let's close the piece now before I forget.
Confirm.
Control F4. It's asking me, do I want to do it? Do I want to save? No, I don't.
N. Document.
Go into options.
Alt L O. Leaving menus.
Music.
Options. MU. Music Braille closed.
There we go.
Music.
And translate is where we turn all those things off.
Show/hide signs list space. Not checked. Ornaments check space. Not check. Arpeggios check space. Not check. Glissando check space. Not check. Slide check space. Not check.
Okay, and I could go through the whole lot like this. I'm not going to because it would take too long. But I could go through the whole lot of those, turn them all off. And I could also turn Braille repeats off. And we could get a fairly basic Braille music score that way. And then we go back
Preview.
to profiles.
Transcription. 3 of 7. Profiles.
And
List view. Use the load profile button. Update, add, remove profile. Description, edit. Settings I use.
now settings I use is this is what I haven't had.
E.
So I'll change that to just the notes.
Profile name, edit.
Profile name. Give it a name. I would say, I don't know,
B-A-R-C.
basic.
Save as profile button. Alt+S.
Now, that's the way you would save it. I'm not actually going to save it because I haven't actually configured all the settings I need. But you would just press the save button and it would save it. Instead, I've already done this. So all I'm actually going to do is load the profile, which has all the settings already set.
Descript, remove profile button. Add, update profile, load profile. Use default profile button. List view, chamber, bar J. Just notes, just the notes. 4 of 5.
There we go. That's the profile I made earlier.
Use default, load profile button.
Load the profile.
Activated just notes profile.
And it told you it's activated. Hit the OK.
Description, profile name, save as, OK button. Space.
And hopefully, when I retranslate this piece,
document1.sn. Control
it's already
T.
imported, so I just was pressing
0,
Control T.
100%. Page 1.
Now when I look,
Public blank blank piano percent a greater column.
there we go. Bar 1, right hand, straight into notes. No MF, it's gone.
Colon
No
quotation.
slur, just the notes. And the second bar has just got D crotchet, G crotchet, G crotchet, or quarter notes. There's no repeat sign, there's no staccatos. And because we've knocked out all these other signs, I've now actually got 5 bars onto this first line. So it's actually going to take less paper, it's a simplified score, and it's as easy as changing a profile once you've all got it set up.
Just quickly for sighted people watching, James, just some quick navigation tips. So we're looking at the music there. To see where the music starts, you've got the bar numbers on the left, and then there's these kind of groups of Braille characters, and the spaces are the bar lines. I think
That's correct.
You might have mentioned that already, James, but just to be clear for everyone.
Yeah, no, there's no harm reiterating that. And the other thing which I didn't mention, which I did for this template, is I added an octave sign at the beginning of every bar. So you'll notice there's a sign with just the right-hand dots at the beginning of every group of Braille cells. They are not always necessary, but there's an option to turn that on. And let's assume my beginner musician would appreciate having that reassurance that they're starting at least on the right note, even if they wander off into the wrong octave later on. Now, that's not a condemnation. We've all done it as Braille musicians. We've all gone whizzing off into the wrong octave because we forgot an octave sign somewhere. Okay, so that's our simplified version. I need to set that back to standard.
Confirmed.
Now I don't want to save things.
Document 1.smd-print- Sao Mai Braille.
And just to show you how quick we can do this, hopefully.
Alt L O.
Options.
Leaving menus. Options.
Down
Preview.
to music.
Music Braille. 1.
Profiles.
Profiles. List view. MY.
My standard settings.
Load profile.
Load.
Activated. Description. Profile. OK button. Space.
OK.
Document 1.smd- Control T. 0 100%.
And there's everything
No
back.
blank. Crit blank. Public blank. Quote.
Simple
Mid
as
blank.
that.
Note. Unhang number. Blank. Crit blank. Public blank. Blank. Piano. Illegal. A great underline.
There it is. Everything's back. It's as quick as that when you've got everything set up. Now then, what about orchestral scores? We've seen vocal music, we've seen piano music. What about a whole orchestral piece? I'm going to stick first of all with classical music, but you can do exactly the same with band music. And we do have a piece of big band music if we get that far. So let's close this
Confirm.
this piano.
No button.
And
Document
I'm
1. Mark
deleting
underline.
that and back into MuseScore.
Brahms underline Johanni.
There's Brahms. We can get rid of Brahms.
Control W. MuseScore. Don't save button.
Don't save.
Space. MuseScore Studio.
I'm going to load, all being well.
Control O. File name.
If I can remember what the file name's called.
O. Moon underline Mozart underline Symphony underline Mozart.
There it is. Mozart Symphony number 40 in G minor.
Enter.
And
MuseScore Studio.
hopefully this might even play as well.
N. Mozart space.
He says,
Normal mode. Bar page. System.
you gonna
bar
play
1.
it?
Bar space.
here we go.
Space.
Okay, hopefully that's at least familiar to some. Let's see what happens if we try and push that through Sao Mai.
Task switching. Document 1.s.
So, file import,
F11. File name : music score dot.
Mozart.
Mozart.
There it is.
Enter. Document
Now then,
1.s.
this is an orchestral score, so I need to switch my profile from single parts to orchestra so we can get everything together.
Alt L O.
So,
Leaving
music
menus.
options again.
Options. Trim U. Music Braille music. 1.
Format.
Profiles.
Set profile.
Transcription. Format.
There's format.
Format type line dash bar dash over
Bar
dash.
or bar still.
First dash measure. Rule over line indented. Measure numbering.
Measure numbering.
Measure number position. Open indicator edit.
where's it
Measure
gone?
number. Rule over line indent. First dash measure alignment. Format type combo box. Bar dash over dash. First rule over. Measure number. Measure number. Open indicator edit. Close transcription mode combo box. Single.
There we go. Single part.
Orchestra.
Change that to orchestra and OK.
Enter. Document 1.
Now, translate, see what happens. This might take
Control T.
a little while
0%. Document 1-6.
because it's a whole movement
35%.
and all parts in the orchestra that it's doing.
50%.
So it's quite a lot of notes it's doing. I don't know how many pages it's going to come out as, but we'll soon find out.
51%. 100%. 100. The document.
The document is ready to view.
Page 1.
That's very good. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Of course, I've still got German Braille. I didn't change that.
Blank. Float cowboy greater OB.
And at the beginning, we have a list of the orchestral parts. Flauto in Braille is going to be shown by FL.
A boy great.
Actually, I don't know if this is German or French or what, but OBOI is the oboes. OB. Clarinetti in B. Presumably that means a B flat because it would be the German name.
Fagotti.
Fagotti with the bassoons. BSN in Braille.
Corno in.
And I've got all the different part lists at the beginning.
Corno in.
Beautifully formatted.
Violet contra. Blank.
Now, if I didn't like any of it, I can actually change that as well.
Quote 3.
Then we have print
Illegal.
page 1, Allegro Molto, cut time, or Alabreve time, 456C in Braille.
B.
And the bar numbers are now across the top rather than down the left.
Greater F.
And then we have flutes with 2 flats, bar rest, bar rest.
Greater O.
Oboes, 2 flats, bar rest, bar rest.
Great.
And I could continue down.
Greater B. Greater.
There's lots
Greater
of
A.
bar
Greater V.
rests. Here we go. Violin 1, 2 flats. Minim rest, crotchet rest. Piano. E flat slur D quavers. The first few notes. Did. And there's even a Braille repeat sign at the end of that bar too.
Great.
The second violins play exactly the same notes, 1 octave down.
Great of love.
The violas. Now this is interesting because they're actually written with an inner chord sign. So there's a divisi straight away. And we've got GGBB repeat or BB high G repeat.
Great.
And then we have the cellos, the last, I think.
Greater CB less.
No,
Great.
we've got contrabasses as well. So we've got cellos, 2 flats, and they play just a crotchet G on the first note of the bar. And the second bar, it's an octave higher. And we've even got the Braille music sign for that, a 3rd octave and then a lower G.
Great.
And the contrabass is exactly the same.
Caps.
Now then, that's an awful lot of lines for just 2 bars of Braille music, and most of those were blank. And if I had somebody in my orchestra who needed a Braille part, the likelihood is they would not need every single part. Let's see how many pages.
Page 73.
Yeah, 73 pages of Braille music. I don't think they'd thank me for giving them that much music. What we actually want, let's assume that the person in my orchestra who needs Braille is a cellist. So I just need to give them the cello part and not everything else. Let's close this Braille window.
Confirm.
Remember, if we change options, we have to retranslate anyway.
No button.
So I don't want to save those changes.
Document 1.
Let's go into the options, change it back to single part, because that's what I'm going to give the cellist.
Alt L O. Leaving menus. Options. Music. 1. Profiles.
Back to format. Come on, say format.
Profile. Format.
There you go.
Format type combo box. Bar dash over dash bar.
Bar over bar still.
First rule. Measure number in combo. Measure open indicator edit. Close it. Transcription mode combo box. Home. Auto. 1. Single part.
Single part. That sounds good to me.
Enter. Document 1.
All right. Now then, how do you select just a single part? It's a slightly different dialogue.
Space.
So I'm actually back in the print window and my cursor is on the music object. And the way you do this is using the score info dialog. And that is, again, in the tools menu.
Alt L. Tools menu. Score info ... S.
And there's a shortcut key, Alt Enter. But I'm in the menu, so I'm going to press Enter. Alt Enter otherwise.
Enter. Leaving menus. Score info dash Mozart underline symphony underline no underline 40.
Okay, this is another big dialogue in SMB, but there are 3 main parts to it. The top part gives you access to all the text that's been picked up.
Score info dash Mozart underline symphony underline no underline 40 underline and underline G underline minor underline K underline 550 underline I underline mul.
Wow, what a mouthful. That's what's picked up for the title, but I'm going to leave it for now.
Subtitle edit. Blank.
Subtitles blank.
Composer edit. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
If I wanted to, I could just change that to W.A. Mozart, just to abbreviate things.
Arranger edit. Lyricist edit. Copyright edit.
And there's a whole bunch of other fields there at the top. After that, we have the part list.
Parts list view. P1 : float.
And this is how we check which parts I want brailled and which parts I do not want brailled. Now, I could go through and uncheck all the boxes except the cello, but there's actually a quicker way. If I tab a couple of times.
Check all button. Uncheck all button.
Uncheck all.
Space.
They're all off. You would actually get no braille if you actually said OK now. Not a good idea.
Check all button. Parts list view. P1 : floater.
I'm going to go down this list.
Not check. Not.
They're all not checked.
P11 : contrabasso. Not checked. P10 : violoncello. Once.
There we are. That's the one I want, the violoncello. And it tells me it's even got 1 stave. That's useful.
Space. Checked.
Check that one. And hopefully now if I go and translate, I would just get the cello part. Before I do that, the bottom part of this dialogue lets me set some even more fine-tuned options, like whether I want intervals to go up, down, or sideways. I mean, just up or down, actually. if you want to change the part abbreviation in your orchestral score. If I didn't like, for example, it said VLN for violin, I could change it to VL1 or whatever I want. You can just, it's a whole bunch of flexible options.
Check all, uncheck all, select part, part name, part of Braille, measures, start page, save button, preview,
There
save
we go,
button,
save button.
space, save button,
And
alt, music, close button,
close
alt
the
plus C,
button.
space, document 1.f.
And it saved those settings. So hopefully now, if I translate, we'll only get the cello part.
Control T. 0%. Document 1-7.sm. The document is ready to.
Now, it was an awful lot quicker to translate, so there's a good chance that it didn't do all the parts there. And there we go. Symphony number 40 in G minor, K550, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And at the top, it just says violoncello. Two flats common time, again at the top. And now the bar numbers are at the left again. And I just have piano, G crotchet, rest. High G crotchet, repeat. Low G, high G, low G, high G. And then an F sharp crotchet. And I can just have the individual part that I want. That is incredibly valuable if you're producing orchestral parts. You can just go and get the whole score and extract the single part. Now, the last thing I want to show is the music navigation. So again, I'm going to close this Braille.
Confirm dialog. Save changes to no button. Document 1.
Save, but I've still got that music object in the print window. Now, the navigation mode is another way to look at the Braille music. This is very interesting because it shows it in speech and in Braille, and it hopefully might even read the musical symbols out. This is in the View menu, and there's a shortcut key.
Alt V.
There we go. Navigation mode is Shift F5. And let's see what happens.
Enter 100%.
Braille. And it says Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart on my Braille display. I'm now just going to arrow right. Let's see what happens.
Bar 1 key signature 2 flats. Dynamics P 2 grams quarter.
Oh, 2 grams. I'm sure that's probably the speech synth. It's actually, of course, it's a G quarter, isn't it? 2 octave 2 G. And the speech synth thought it was 2 grams. Don't you just love speech synthesizers?
Rest half. Bar 2 G 3 quarter.
Okay, and then a quarter rest.
Rest half.
Rest half. So it's actually reading it 2 beats at a time here, which is quite interesting.
Bar 3 G 2 quarter.
Really exciting music because, of course, it's all G, G all the way. So let's keep going a few bars.
Bar 7 sharp F 2 quarter.
Okay, and it said a bit more different there.
Rest half. Bar 8 D 3 quarter.
Ah.
Rest half. Bar 9 G 2 quarter. Rest half. Bar 10 C 3 whole note slur.
Oh, that's interesting.
Bar 11 B 2 whole note slur.
So on the Braille display, it's actually showing me the individual note, and it's basically showing me in Braille music what the speech synthesizer is reading. It's another interesting and potentially very useful feature of SMB. So there you have it.
James, thank you so much. That's such a really amazing overview of all the basic features. So I think we should probably have some time for questions now, if that's okay.
Yes, definitely.
I know we've got a load more musical examples we could go through, so maybe we'll come back to those if we run out of questions.
We've got the big band stuff, yes.
Yeah. So just a couple that we had in advance. So someone's asking, is it only MusicXML you can input to be translated? I know we're not going to explore those more, but are there other options as well?
That's a really good question. I have been using MusicXML all the way here. There is now a way you can directly import MuseScore files, and you do that through, I can just quickly show you. I'm closing.
Escape. Document 1.
There we go, back to the options.
Alt L O. Leaving menus.
And at the bottom of the options page now.
End. 0. Third-party apps.
Third-party apps. And here you can tell SMB where MuseScore is to be found. And then if you give it a MuseScore file, SMB will automatically call MuseScore and say, hey, please, can you convert this to XML for me? And then I can import it, which gives you as the user the chance to import MusicXML directly. So it's MusicXML or MuseScore.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the first two hands up that we've got, and then we'll take some questions from the chat. We've first got a question from Sandra Geyer.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi,
hello.
Sandra.
Yeah, extraordinary. So a couple of questions. One was, when you were looking at the different page views, like the transcription options and things like that, were you pressing Control Tab to get to the different pages as opposed to tab through the different options? Okay,
I was just pressing the arrow key because it's a tree view down the left.
Right, okay.
Okay. Now, one thing I should have added, by the way, thank you for your question. I should have said this. In the tabs where there are dozens and dozens of options, like there's a whole bunch to do with what to do with slur signs and what to do with, I don't know, repeat marks and so on. You can also press F6 and Shift F6 to go through the main groups of controls in that tab. But otherwise, it's standard navigation, arrows and tabs all the way.
Okay, I just got a couple of other questions. With the vocal music, you showed the vocal line and words. You didn't say what happened to the piano part. It was encouraging that it didn't give a bar of vocal music and then a bar of piano, which I've seen before. But so would it give the piano part afterwards as a single part, or?
That's right, because I'd set it to single part.
Right, okay.
You'd get all the vocal and all the piano. Now, I could have set it to chamber or orchestra, and then I would get both parts together. Or I could have set it to accompaniment with outline, and then I'd get the tune and the piano together. So very flexible, you can choose.
And then can this be done in reverse order? So you'd have, let's say you'd written a Braille score yourself. Could you export that to a print type from this or not?
Sadly, no.
Okay.
Sadly, no.
Worth a try.
It's worth a try.
Okay, thank you very much, Sandra. So a couple more questions that we did have in advance as well. How reliable are all the auto options? How much would someone have to delve into every single option there is available? Or, how much can someone trust the auto options to do a pretty good job?
This is a very good question again. So I don't generally go through every single option in this program. In fact, there are some options which I'm not entirely sure the total effect they have. So the defaults are generally quite good. And remember, you've also got the profiles already set up for you. There's one, for example, for UK vocal music, which has the bar numbers in the position that we have them in UK kind of layout. So, yeah, know about the basic options. There's a manual. I should have talked about the manual. There's a reference manual. You can access that with F1. And it talks about all the options and all the menus and so on and so forth. Use it as a reference book. Don't try and read it like a novel. It is a reference book, so search and use the contents page. And then if you need to find out what a particular option does, you can.
Thanks very much, James. And a couple of questions about the text around the music. Is there a way of setting SMB to ignore the metadata in your MusicXML file? And how would you add your own text around the MusicXML?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So do you remember back in the score info dialog? Have we still got the Mozart loaded? Alt-Enter.
Alt-Enter. Score info.
Yeah, we have.
Title edit. Symphony number 40 in G minor.
Okay, that's metadata or data that's come from the MusicXML. Let's just hit delete.
Blank.
There you are. They haven't got a title anymore.
Subtitle edit.
Subtitle.
Blank.
Haven't got one anymore.
Composer edit.
Composer. We haven't got one of those anymore.
Arranger edit. Lyricist edit. Copyright edit. Arranger edit. Blank.
Okay, that. We'll save it.
Type music profile. Close button. Next score button. Alt previous score. Save button. Alt space. Save button. Music profile. Close button. Space. Document 1.sn.
And
Control T.
Translate.
0%.
Hopefully.
Document 1-8. Top one. The document blank.
Music.
Blank.
Are there any text at the top now?
Symphony G-mol KV number each.
Oh, where's it got that one from? KV has got some more information from somewhere.
Blank. Violoncello.
And then it's just got the violoncello. So the composer has disappeared. So it's still obviously found some information about the work title, but the composer has disappeared. Now, to add your own text, going back to the print music.
N. Document. Top of document. Enter.
And I'm just going to type in, this is some
random
text.
Period space.
take note of the dynamics as you read this music, exclamation mark,
enter,
and translate.
Control-T.
And
0%.
hopefully,
Document 1-9.smb. The doc.
now, as well as the music,
Page 2. Quote 3. Top page 1. This is some random text. Take note of.
there it is. Did I translate it? Of course, it's in German still. I haven't changed back to UEB. So let's just do that
Confirmed.
quickly. No, I don't want to save the
Document
changes. Go back to
Auto.
options.
Leaving
This is a good
menus.
recap of how to change
Options.
things. Options,
MU.
music. No,
Math
it's not music. This is text.
Start
So
math.
translation tables.
Translation table.
There we go.
Default. Browse.
Browse.
Space. Options.
Change it to
EN.
English. And
Great combo box. Unified English contracted. 2 of 6. Enter. Document
Okay.
1.smb. Preview. Cancel. OK button space. Document Control
translate
T.
again because I changed the options.
0%. Document 1-10. The document. Question mark.
There we go. Question mark is, and it's in grade 2 Braille test. Take note of the dynamics as you read this music.
Blank.
Exclamation mark.
Page S.
And then Symphony G Moll KV550.
Blank. Blank. Violent. Less.
Cello, and then there's the music. So I have changed the text at the top.
Thank you, James. We've got a hand up from Matthew who asked one part of that question. So I'm just going to unmute you, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, and thank you, James. Yes, that was my question. So thank you for taking that. There were a couple of follow-ups that I had actually. One
go for it.
You've sort of talked about, but I wonder if I could tease it out a bit more. And that is, you changed the Braille table for text. What would happen if I was in a situation where, for some reason, and I have had situations like this, but I can't actually tell you what they are because I can't think of one. But I'll have a situation where
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I know. I'll want text in English, but lyrics in German or something like that. Is it possible to set the lyric table separate to the text table, or is it possible to insert a change of table code?
Okay, so actually, yes, it is. What you do is you go to the score info dialog and you select the part which has the lyrics, for example, the voice part, as we did earlier. And then one of the tabs in the bottom part of that score info dialog is lyrics. And in there, you can actually set a specific translation table for lyrics 1, lyrics 2, lyrics 3, and so on.
Great. Thank you very much. And it would be possible to do that. My other question was, I think I probably don't need to talk about it from a text point of view because I can work that out, but how much control do we have over the formatting of information that's been brought in? So, for example, I want the title to be a line 3 start, and I want it to have, do I want it to have colons underneath it? But do you know what I mean? How much control do I have over that? Or if I want that level of control, do I need to bring it in as text?
There is actually some options for that in the, now where is it? I know it's in the options page.
Confirmed.
I'm going to close that translation, go to the options. I know I've seen it.
Options. Preview.
Here we go. Music.
Music. 1. Text direction.
In the text
Process.
directions.
Word. Browse. Instrument edit. Dart /. Browse. Convert line breaks to spaces. Check. Objects combo box. Title.
Here we go. So you have a combo box with title, movement subtitle, etc., etc. And underneath,
align combo box. Center.
You have options for aligning it center.
Left, 2 of 4. Right. Custom,
etc., etc. So yes, with those options, you can change the way the title text is aligned and formatted.
Thank you very much.
So question from Lee Strickland. When composing music in SMB, does it or can it give you auditory feedback when brailing notes, like you can get in Braille Music Editor?
Okay, so just to pick up on that, I'm not composing music in SMB. SMB is a music translation program. So you start with MusicXML. So if I was composing, I would use MuseScore, and you can either write in print, and there is some basic Braille music input in the MuseScore program as well. Once I've composed, then to get a final copy, then I would use SMB to translate. However, on the way, because it's so simple and quick to use, I might well use SMB to give me a quick draft of how far have I got so far. Okay, so all your audio playback, all your inputting of notes and changing things is done in a music editor program such as MuseScore.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank you for that one, James. So Susan Golding is asking, is there somewhere online or in the manual where there is just a concise list of all the useful keyboard shortcuts? Is that something you're aware of, James?
I'm not aware of, but as with many Windows programs, the shortcut keys are listed against the menu items. So, for example, I should open the file menu.
Alt F, file menu, new submenu, N,
It says new submenu.
new print control plus N.
There it is, new print control plus N. So there you've got the shortcut key against the menu item.
Thank you very much.
Escape.
Question also from Theodore. Could you please show again how we choose just one instrument from a larger score? Maybe we could choose a new piece of music and just show that bit off again, James.
you want the band, don't you?
No, well, whatever you want.
Come on,
Blank.
let's go for it. Let's go for it. I'm deleting the Mozart here.
Mozart underline symphony.
And we should play it first of all, so we know what we're getting into.
Mozart underline symphony underline note
And here's MuseScore. I'm closing Mozart.
Control W. Mozart underline symphony underline
And
N.
don't save.
Save button. Don't save button.
Don't save. There we
N.
go. Don't
Space.
save. There we go. And let's open. This is one that Jay gave me earlier. I have not played with it. I've not edited
Alt
it.
F.
So
Open. Enter.
And
File name colon.
It's
What you?
called
Yalv underline.
You've Got a Friend in Me.
Enter.
And
New scores.
we'll see if this will play.
Yalv underline got underline
Yalv, because it's not got an apostrophe.
N. Note input mode. System. Note input mode.
Let's see if we can play this. It's a full band. Let's see what happens.
Space. Space.
All right, that's enough of that. There's lots of stuff going on there. There's saxophones, there's trumpets, there's bass guitars, and goodness knows what. Which part shall we pick? Any offers?
Oh, shall we go for an alto sax?
Which one, the one or two?
Let's go for one.
Number one,
Document
alto sax.
1.smd dash.
So let's first of all import.
Alt F11. File name.
Again, this is an experiment because I've never actually done this with this piece. So let's see.
One.
You
Yalv underline.
Got a Friend, XML. Actually, I should notice here it says MXL. Doesn't say Music XML, it says MXL. There's two types of Music XML, at least. One is uncompressed, the other is compressed. The basic idea is, if you've heard of a zip file, you know what I mean by compressed. They contain basically the same thing. I'm brushing over a few details there, but the good news is SMB can cope with either format. So the fact that it's MXL
Enter. Document 1.
won't phase it at all. Right, so we go arrow onto the music
underline dot.
object, Alt Enter.
Alt Enter. Score.
That's the score info dialog. Remember, the top
Title
part
edit.
of the
You.
dialog is the title and composer. You've Got a Friend in Me.
Subtitle edit. Composer edit. Randy Newman TR. Maeve Lander.
Okay.
Arranger edit. Lyricist edit. Transcribed by M. Lander.
No, I don't really want to that bit because it's already got that in the composer. So
Blank.
delete the lyricist just for fun.
Copyright edit. Blank. Parts list view. P1 colon voice. 0 staves. P2 colon alto 1. 0 staves.
That's the one we want, but at the moment, everything is checked. So I'm going to tab to the uncheck all button.
Check all. Uncheck all button. Space.
Okay, now everything is unchecked.
Check all. Parts list.
Go back to the parts
Home.
list.
P2 colon alto 1. 0
Alto 1, that'll be the first alto sax. Check that one.
space. Checked.
I'm hoping I'm not going to need anything else in this dialogue, so let's find the save
Check.
button.
Instrument. Part. Braille. Measure. Save button. Save
There
button.
it is.
Space. Save button. Music. Title edit. Music Pro. Close button.
Close
Alt plus
it.
space. Document 1.smd.
Translate it.
Control T. 0%.
Let's see
The document is ready to view.
how
Page 1.
successful we are.
Question mark. Is quote SRMOM text.
Okay, we've still got the bit of text that I wrote earlier. This is some random text. Make
Blank,
sure
blank.
about the dynamics.
Page wife.
I should have deleted that.
Quote.
Page 1.
Wiver.
You've Got a Friend in Me. Beautifully centered and in contracted
Blank.
UEB.
R and
Randy Newman. Tra, Meve, Lander.
Blank, blank, alto number A.
Alto 1.
Number
4 sharps, 4, 4.
J.
Do you know, when I first translated this score and I didn't check what was going on, I was a bit confused because we got all sorts of different key signatures for all the different parts. But of course, it's not alto singers, it's alto saxes and tenor saxes, and they do play in different keys. So that's why we got different key signatures. Bar 0 we have, and bar 1 we have, and bar 2, and there's lots of notes and ties and all sorts of interesting signs like tenuto marks and octave signs.
D, alto number A.
And so forth.
J.
I think I pressed the wrong cursor button there, but there's a triplet sign there, there's a grace note by the looks of things, a natural sign, and all sorts of other interesting things, even a thin double bar at the beginning of end of a section. Is that okay, Theo?
Amazing. Thanks so much for that, James. So yeah, Theodore does say thanks in the chat. Okay, I'm just going to double check the handout, check we've kind of covered everything that we said we were going to cover, James.
I think we have.
Just while people put more hands up or get more questions in the chat.
Just as to say, at the bottom of the handout, there is some information from the end of the reference manual about where you can find support. So there's an email list, there's a support email address at the Sao Mai Centre, as well as, of course, the website.
So we got a new hand up from Alexandru.
Hi all.
Hello.
Hello.
Quick question. Is this program designed only to translate from MusicXML into Braille, or can you also use it like a typewriter, Duxbury or Braille Music Editor type of thing? Thank you.
It's a really good question. And at the beginning, I said that SMB can translate text, mathematics, tactile images, and music. And when you're actually in the Braille window, I deleted some text, but I guess I can also type some text. So let's get rid of this bit about, please make sure you check the dynamics. I'm going to delete that. And I'm now going to use 6-key entry on my keyboard with SDFJKL. And the screen reader is probably going to say some rubbish, but I will type in learn
space
at least the first 20 bars ready for your lesson. There we go. And it's come out in Braille. Learn at least the first 20 bars ready for your lesson. And I did them with SDFJKL.
Brilliant. And so quick there. Impressive stuff, James. Cool. So we don't actually have any more hands up, and I think we've covered most of the questions that came up in the chat. So I'll draw us to a close and just wanted to say thank you, James, so much. Really, really valuable sharing all of that stuff. I know we packed a lot into that time, so thank you for preparing. And I look forward to getting this recording out along with the notes, so that we can really support as many people to access Braille music as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a really valuable tool. I've used it to produce piano music, organ music, flute music, vocal music. Yeah, it's a very flexible and versatile tool.
And I guess the big thing as well, I don't know if we mentioned at the start, it's a free program as well. So obviously open for anyone to use, and very responsive developers as well. Fook, I think you're still in the call. Thank you so much for all your effort and time, and the whole team at Sao Mai as well for making this awesome piece of software.
Yeah, absolutely. Echo that. Thank you.
Okay, well, James, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming and your questions. And I look forward to getting the recording out soon. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sound Without Sight podcast. Sound Without Sight is a community-driven online knowledge hub, collating information and resources to support blind and partially sighted musicians and audio engineers to break down access barriers. If you're a visually impaired musician or audio engineer, why not share some solutions you found on our Knowledge Hub? You can learn more and get involved at soundwithoutsight.org. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, please consider making a donation to support the project. You can do so at soundwithoutsight.org/donate. The music you're listening to was kindly contributed by community member Mackie Jones of MapleMixProductions.com.